So everybody's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show, your 24-hour day. I'm your host, Brendan Nevin, with my co-host, Nigel Patterson.
We're back.
We are back. We spent so much time on break after we had to take a little trip down to the South Coast. You know, we spent some time.
Not we. You took spend some time. I stayed right in Virginia. I ain't go anywhere.
Okay. Well,
one of us took a vacation. One of us didn't.
Well. Yeah. So
no disputing it.
Yeah, there isn't. But now we're both back though, and we're ready
Fresh.
Yes, we're refreshing and everything like that. You know, got the good vibes going on and everything like that, and we're ready to give you guys the best sports talk. We know you guys have missed it. You know, you guys haven't had it for about it's been a week and a half or so.
Did we do a show that Monday?
Yeah, we did a show that Monday,
so
and then we didn't do it. Yeah, okay. So it's been a week and a half, guys. I know you guys missed us, so we're back. You know, we're back to give you guys a good daily feel of all the sports news, especially after this weekend with all the sports news that's been going on. There's been so much to go on. There's a lot to recap on.
Not even that. Crazy Sunday night, nonetheless.
Yeah. The whole weekend as a whole. I mean, Sunday night itself was funny. Like Sunday night was the epicness of all.
That was for whatever reason that was supposed to be the come down. That was the climax of everything that happened.
That was like the Mount Kilimanjaro of all.
Mount Kilimanjaro. You said month.
Oh, Mount.
Yeah, fix your language.
Nah, bro, what you mean?
You're
man?
back for 5 minutes.
It's called an accent.
Stumbling.
It's an accent, man.
Okay, it's been 2 minutes.
Tomato.
Okay.
All right, y'all. But thank you for everybody that's tuning in to KBR Sports, guys. Please follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast on Rebel TV, Spreaker, YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Also, please like and share it and comment on the KBR Sports Podcast so we can get your feedback on our show, and so you guys can also show your support because we know you guys love to do that. You guys can also show your support by following us on Twitter at KBR_sports, where we tweet our live links before every show, as well as the topics. And then remember, you guys can always join in on our discussion by calling at 571-991-0566. So, guys, before we jump into our good amount of topics and everything like that, Nigel posed a question to me. He said he had a question for me. Yeah,
the reason why this came up, actually, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
The reason why this came up was because we were talking about Kyrie, and, you know, Kyrie said some great things this weekend.
I love Kyrie.
A lot of great things. Biggest thing was the Earth being flat.
Yes.
Not believing in dinosaurs, but believing in aliens. So my question to you, Brendan, in 2024, when you make your presidential bid, you sit in office, and they come to you and they say, Brendan, we put a satellite in space. We have just gotten feedback from extraterrestrial life. Do you answer that call? Anybody who's listening, do you answer that call? I'm just genuinely curious.
That's a great question. That's actually a really good. Damn. So if I'm the president, before you finish, the president doesn't handle that kind of stuff. That's NASA. Whoever deals with that. But in this situation, the president is dealing with it. So suspend your disbelief for even more so than you already have. Suspend the rationale that you have going on,
and just say you're answering the question.
Oh man, and somebody's calling. We have extraterrestrial life forms calling in from another world, or from outer space or whatever.
Absolutely.
Oh man, do I pick up the call? I think I have to. I gotta pick it up.
See, I go the complete opposite way of you.
Really?
We can't understand them. We don't know what they do, who they're for, and what they're about. Oh, for all we can know, they could just blow up a plane and look for another planet to blow up. No, I'm not dealing with it.
But here's the thing. We won't know if we can.
No. Nope. You can stop right there. As soon as you say alien, nope.
But that's the thing. If somebody picked up the call, that means they had to have communicated with them in some coherent way. And if any case, we have to find out what they want. If they know we're here, that they can communicate with us, that means they know we're there. So it's not like they're just gonna leave us alone.
Yeah, well, they don't know exactly where we're at. They just picked up a satellite. They don't know where the satellite was. They don't know anything like that. They just picked up satellites in space somewhere.
But what if they're making a threat, or what if they
exactly? That's why you don't answer.
So they just boast up without no warning.
You don't know if they're making a threat. You don't know if they're coming to boost our technology. You don't know what kind of technology they have. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Nigel, if they could advance your way of living, you wouldn't do it.
No.
Wow. Wow.
Unless they're speaking perfect English to me. No.
Guys, we want to hear your opinions. Call in at 571-991-0566. If aliens transmit a phone call via satellite to our beautiful planet Earth, if you were the president of the United States, would you take the call and communicate with aliens?
Also, if you believe it's flat, let us know.
Yeah, if you believe the Earth is flat like Kyrie Irving. Yeah, I know. Make sure you guys call in and let us know. Also, you guys can tweet us or comment on the podcast so you guys can give us your thoughts and opinions. We want to hear them all, so guys, make sure you express yourselves. But big news we were alluding to before we touched on some of that alien talk was about Mr. Demarcus Cousins and the Sacramento Kings. And this the Kings' decision to ship Demarcus Cousins to the New Orleans Pelicans, where now he'll join Anthony Davis, one of his star teammates. So, Nigel, what do you think of this trade? What do you think of this, like, as a total perspective? What do you think of the trade? DeMarcus Cousins joining Anthony Davis in New Orleans.
Okay, first of all, when this announced, it broke. I was like, this is an easy win for the Pelicans. This is absolutely an easy win. This still is. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way first of all. Mm-hmm. But actually, it's a win. It's a win for the Pelicans, and it's a terrible trade for the Kings. I mean.
You mind if I get around the trade real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, everybody. So, for those who don't know everything that was included in the trade, so Sacramento receives Tyreke Evans, Buddy Hield, the Pelicans' first-round pick from this year, who's number 6 pick, Langston Galloway, a first-round and a second-round draft pick in this upcoming draft. Then the Pelicans receive back DeMarcus Cousins and Omer Caspi.
Omer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so they have a pick. Well, see, the problem is, all right, so they have to. We're assuming that they're gonna lose a ton of games now going forward, right?
The Kings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna get a pick because they would have lost their pick if they had kept DeMarcus Cousins. Had kept DeMarcus Cousins. Problem is now if they get a high pick, Philly's gonna swap with them. That's pretty much what's gonna happen at this point. So even if they get the number 1, 2, 3 pick, Philly's 9 times out of 10 going to swap with them and get a higher pick now, and they're gonna fall back into probably like the 9 or 10 range, which is probably where Philly's going to end up. The other problem is if they get picks, that's great for any other team not named Sacramento. Just a run through of the last 10 years of Sacramento's picks. I think we should do that. Spencer Hawes, no longer with the team. Jason Thompson, no longer with the team. Mike Evans and Omer Caspi just came back to the team, but let go by the team. DeMarcus Cousins, traded by the team. Bismack Biyombo, traded. Oh, no, he left in free agency. Thomas Robinson didn't cut it. Ben McLemore still on the team, not really doing anything. Nick Stauskas traded. Willie Cauley-Stein still there. And Chris Marquise still there, but only been there for a year. So, and I feel like it should be mentioned. Isaiah Thomas, the 2nd round, 60th pick, not more.
Yeah. All-star on this.
All-star. So, like I said, any other team getting the pick, you'd be like, good pick. Let's go. It's time to rebuild. But they haven't done anything with these picks. The other problem I have with this trade is they trade for Buddy Hield. Brennan, what was Nick Stauskas?
A shooter.
What was Ben McLemore? Ben McLemore.
An athletic wing.
Who's supposed to be a shooter.
Yeah.
And then they also drafted, a couple years before that, they got Jimmy Fredette.
Shooter.
You haven't done a good job getting shooters. Drafting shooters is not your thing. You can get another shooter who hasn't really looked good recently.
Let me jump in real quick and say this trade, and when we talk about heist in the NBA, this trade is a heist. I disagree with you. This trade is a heist because in terms of this isn't. I'm not saying it's the biggest heist, but it is a heist. Like when you think about the fact that you got DeMarcus Cousins and you gave up Buddy Hield, you gave up Tyreke Evans, who at this point is an average player. He's a solid rotation player.
But to be fair, he's
hold on 1 second. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What are you gonna say about him?
He's gonna be gone after this year.
Okay. Then you get Langston Galloway, who's also another just player. This thing is, you pretty much gave away 3 bench players for arguably the best big men in the game right now. So it's like the trade to me was just like if they didn't have to give away like multiple picks, this would have been the ultimate heist. I mean, if they somehow could have kept the second round pick or the first round pick,
their pick isn't much.
Yeah, I mean, it's still. I mean, think about it. Where you find half of these gems in the league nowadays. Sometimes some of these guys are just found in random places.
For any other team, for the Kings.
But what I think of it as is just like, it was such a great trade for the Pelicans because it's like you needed that second guy, especially after recently we heard news about that. Anthony Davis could be rumored to be going to the Los Angeles Lakers with Russell Westbrook. I mean, a lot of guys shoot things down and then they do something different. I shot down the notion he was going to leave Oklahoma City.
No, he didn't.
And no, he did. He said he was committed to Oklahoma City.
He kept think about it when the season came.
Think about it. Anthony Davis, juncture where Kevin Durant's at, was saying, I'm not thinking about leaving.
He also signed a 5 year deal.
And Kevin Durant has signed a deal a year
ago. 5 years is a long time.
Let me get back to it. So if you think about it in the framework of that, it's like Anthony Davis is like, oh, you guys actually got me somebody. I don't have to, I know this organization's trying. Because it's different when organizations half the time let their star players' ultimate prime just be wasted out. Because like, well, we'll be bad and then we'll try to get a young player through the draft or something like that. But this shows that the Pelicans are actually trying to make moves to make happen for themselves. And, show Anthony Davis they're committed to winning, not committed to just trying to, get young players and waste his prime sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of how this affects the Pelicans in terms of the playoff tree, I think this makes the Pelicans a very interesting team. I mean, you're a few games out from the 8th spot where Sacramento holds right now, which they're obviously going to drop from since Demarcus Cousins is no longer there. So now the 8th spot. And a lot of people think that these kind of things just happen and these guys are just going to play well automatically with each other. But it's going to take time for two big men to realize how. Like Anthony Davis has played center most of the season, so now he's going to slide back to his natural position of power forward, and then Demarcus Cousins is going to fill the center spot. So when you have things like that, it's like you guys have to learn how to play with each other. But then when you see how Anthony Davis, because of how versatile a player he is. It's like you guys can do top high pick and roll action. The way that both players can you can do so many different things with these guys. I mean, they'll be such an interesting team in the West. I just that if Oklahoma City drop, I don't know how Oklahoma City will pan out for the rest of the season. I mean, Oklahoma City's 7th right now, so
they're way
ahead of New Orleans.
No, they're way ahead of A seed.
The A seed. So Oklahoma at the most likelihood, New Orleans will end up being the 8th seed. So if they end up being the 8th seed, at least get into the playoffs. Then we end up seeing them against Golden State, in which nobody's gonna pick against Golden State to beat New Orleans or to lose New Orleans. But it would be interesting to see New Orleans utilize the one thing that Golden State lacks in, and that's post presence. In which Zaza Pachulia stands no chance of guarding Demarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis.
Almost all star Zaza Pachulia. They got JaVale McGee for that.
Huh?
They got JaVale McGee for that.
JaVale McGee cannot guard DeMarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis. He cannot. I'm sorry. No, he cannot.
Okay.
But I mean, what do you think about how this does for their team? I mean, how do you think it improves how much does it improve this season? Next season is when I'm truly looking forward to seeing their team. But this season, how far do you think they can go?
Fight for the 8th seed. You can say it takes time. It takes time to build to gel. I mean, we saw Cleveland when they first got together. It took time. This year. I mean, they got off to a great record, but I mean, they're way obviously extra talent this team is. The Heat when they first got together, it took a little bit of time to gel. I mean, so it's gonna take about 20 games or so for them to at least get a feel for each other. Which will only leave about 18 or so games left in the season. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they get the 8th seed. I mean, there's a bunch of teams fighting for it right now. I mean, the Kings, like you said, the Kings are gonna drop. Nuggets were playing well. Portland's right behind the Kings. Mavericks are playing well. People think the Timberwolves are playing well. So I mean, there's a lot of teams fighting for that. You see, I mean, I think out of this now, they are the most talented team of the group. But a lot of teams have been together longer and they're gelling now. I mean, since Levine's been down, Karl Anthony and Andrew Wiggins have been going off.
Okay, so I alluded to it a little bit, but so you don't think this trade was a heist?
Kind of, not really.
Why not?
Because as much as I like Demarcus Cousins, and I think you like Demarcus Cousins.
I mean, as a talent,
yeah, the talent, yeah. But why just the talent?
because I'll read it off to you. Demarcus Cousins, he leads the league in suspensions, technical fouls. He's had 29 more technical fouls than Westbrook. He's fouled out 46 times, 24 more than Amir Johnson, and he's been ejected 12 times more than.
That surprised me.
3 more than Matt Barnes, his former teammate. And at this point he's past the technical foul limit. So if he gets one more technical foul, he's suspended. Every 2 technical fouls he gets after that point, he gets suspended. So that's why I love him as a talent.
I have a quote from a source here, and I know people don't like. I don't like sources technically. I really don't. Mm-hmm. But when multiple sources from different places all speak out and say the exact same thing, usually where there's smoke, there's fire. Mm-hmm. And here's what a Celtics quote who had to say, a Celtics source. Hold on a second. And time again, any mention of Cousins turned ominous. The source said, agents for other Kings players have reached out to other teams hoping to find a new home for their client, primarily citing the difficulties that came from playing with Cousins. It's not just that he can be emotional on the court. It's playing with him every day. Like seeing when a coach says he can't coach him, you lose credibility. You can't sustain things that are important to winning if a coach can't hold him accountable. And then also, a quote from the source said that they couldn't find one player that played with him that could account for him being a good guy to play with. And who's on the Celtics?
Isaiah Thomas.
And it's like he had a problem with Isaiah Thomas, which nobody else in the league has had any problems with Isaiah. He didn't have a problem in Phoenix. The only reason they got rid of him in Phoenix because they signed him with 2 other point guards. Eric Bledsoe. Yeah, and Goran Dragic. Yeah. And he went to Boston. They love him in Boston. So it's like, if you can't find anybody to vouch for one person to vouch for the guy. And the Celtics, who are linked to any player that becomes available, they're linked to Blake Griffin, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Gordon Hayward, all linked to every single person. Anybody who was somebody they were linked to. Mm-hmm. For them to say we had 0 interest and we never picked up the phone to even call them. To me, that's just there's something there.
Well, for me, it's one of those things that I get what you're saying, but I also believe that he never played with a player that at the time Isaiah Thomas was on his team. He was not Isaiah Thomas. He wasn't this Isaiah Thomas. So, and just to give people a perspective of what Demarcus Cousins is going to play with, he's going to play with Anthony Davis. Both of them, there's only 3 players in the league that average over 25 points and 10 rebounds. Anthony Davis, Demarcus Cousins, and Russell Westbrook. Cousins is 4th in the NBA in scoring. He averages 27.8 points a game. He's 11th in rebounding. Anthony Davis is 6th. Demarcus Cousins averages 10.7 rebounds. Anthony Davis averages 12. DeMarcus averages 1.3 blocks. Anthony Davis averages 2.5. Anthony Davis shoots 50% from the field. DeMarcus 45. Anthony 80% from free throw. The free throw line, DeMarcus Cousins 77%, and they both shoot over 30% from 3-point range. DeMarcus is the better 3-point shooter at 35%, while Anthony Davis is at 30%. So it's just he's never played with a player of this caliber. And I think when you have another talented player, you're just dude, I don't want him. I don't think he's ever had the moment where somebody puts him aside and be like, dude, you're really messing, you're acting out. And real quick, it'll be weird. It will be weird though because Anthony Davis is the younger guy, so it'll be weird for him to be like, hey, DeMarcus, come on, chill out, bro. If he's the younger guy, but at the same time, I think Alvin Gentry might have the temperament to deal with DeMarcus Cousins because of the fact that he comes from the Golden State culture and everything like that. I'm hoping that he's learned, especially with dealing with Draymond Green, how to kind of navigate those waters. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say. I see what you're saying. Change the scenery can maybe do something good for him. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's just what coach has he gotten along with? The only coach he ever got along with was Mike Malone. He got fired after I think 15 games or something like that. For that's just the Kings being stupid. But
see, and that's the thing. That's one. Real quick, let me just say, that's the thing that makes no sense. That's where I don't fully blame Anthony Davis. DeMarcus Cousins, because it's you finally gets along with. Why are you gonna get rid of that one coach and then you bring in
Sacramento's stupid? Don't get me. We're gonna get to that, but yeah, there's the story that what's his name? Zach Lowe was talking about. He was on the podcast earlier, and he was saying, there's stupid stuff that DeMarcus Cousins does. He harassed and bullied the mess out of Nick Stauskas. He's talking about not rookie hazing or anything like that. He's talking about just going after the guy constantly, trying to pick fights with the guy constantly. That's not it's not cool. Yeah, that's not needed. Sure. Yeah. So stuff like that, it just makes me I think it's a great trade. Don't get me wrong. No matter will it be an all-time trade because those two match together really well, or is it become a good trade that could have been better if DeMarcus, just had his head on straight?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, that is one of the things that will be a primary worry for everybody going in. You just hope that DeMarcus can keep his head on and hopefully won't get any more technical fouls, which will result. Yeah. Because that would result in just a suspension, so he wouldn't be available. And hopefully, this team can get into the postseason. I just want to see them in the postseason because that would be interesting. Even though I know they don't have record like the whole team together, surround them with some shooting.
No, look, hold on, we're gonna get to that.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Take it easy.
All right, all right, Sean. When we come back from the break, we're gonna talk about the Sacramento Kings and how this trade makes their organization look as a whole. Stay tuned, everybody. It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show, 24-hour day. And don't forget, when the segment ends, you all can refresh the page, and after about 20 to 30 seconds, our live link will be back up there for you guys to listen to and tune into us live. Stay tuned, everybody. It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show, 24-hour day.